and we got to meet Tommy Mello, A1 Garage Door, and listening to him talk how he was looking at it and how he was talking about the industry. And he would go around and find out who are the people that have scaled bigger in all the different services, whether it was HVAC or whatever, and like what were the things that they were doing. And one of the backbones of how he's been able to do it is he created an academy in Phoenix where he's training up 25 techs a month. The entire service industry right now, everybody's short labor. We're so niche. There's schools you can go to for HVAC, for welding, all different kinds of things. Right? That's our biggest lever that we can pull on is can we train people faster and get people in faster.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Born to Tint podcast with the Miller Brothers. I'm Ricky, and I'm glad to be here with my big brother, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Today we have a special guest for his second appearance on the podcast, Alec Bless with All In Heating and Air. Talk about growth in his business in the last year since we last spoke to him. Check it out.
All right, that's the go bell.
That shouldn't happen again, right?
Yeah, no, but it's a fun league. I didn't really have to convince Brittany. I really don't do much of anything of hanging out with people. Right. So, and I usually don't ever golf, but my buddy was like, dude, it's networking because it's a bunch of different guys that I know probably about 25% of the guys there. The rest of the guys I don't know, and they're usually a mix between real estate, people that are in commercial real estate. Like there's a bunch of different things that I can actually, as soon as we talk a little business, it's like, oh, here, right, here's my card. Right. You need anything done. And then also I can connect with them, use them for their businesses. So it's just pretty much, it's for business. Right. That's how I've convinced her. She's like, okay. I'm like, all right, have some fun. How have you been? Because I know since the last time we had you in here, I wanted to have you on because we've done, I think, 4 more vans for you in this past year. Yeah. And I kind of realized that you've grown substantially in the past year, man. So how's business been?
Business is good. I think there's 6 vans total. So I needed 2, so 4 more. We've tripled in guys almost. So we had almost tripled, but there's 10 of us now. And we were doing good. We got a lot going on, and All
right. So my first question then is, how is it managing more people?
Oh, it's a pain in the butt. What I've done though is I've hired somebody to manage them. Then I can stay and do other things. You know. So I got a good operations manager that's knows the guys, knows the trade, and I can trust him with a lot more things.
Oh, that was gonna be my next. That was gonna be my next question. Does he know the trade at all, or you just get someone who's purely a manager, so he knows the trade? How long has he been doing it?
He's actually a guy who trained me.
Hell yeah!
13 years ago. So full circle, he decided to leave where he was at and thought he was done with the trade, and moving on to the next thing. And then I heard about it and gave him a call and said, do you want to come work for me? So he knows the trade. He knows, he was a manager before, so he's already got that under his belt and has a lot of guys that have worked with him, that have that he's able to carry on and bring on over. So it kind of really helped jump us to where we're at now. And I had to buy a vehicle and vans and stuff. I had to just pull the trigger because that was the hardest thing. Do I buy something new? Do I just try to find something and fix up, or I just buy new? I guess that's what I did.
Yeah,
I had to get them wrapped. I had to get them something to drive in, right? Yeah. I have this the manpower or this experience now. I have to take advantage of it. So it was totally worth it.
Those are usually I would say the more scarier things is how fast you grow, and then where you're gonna. All right, we need more vans. You have to have enough vans for enough crews, and then it's like, all right, now sales are starting to go in one direction. Do we need to add more people? But you don't want to add them too quickly, because if you add them too quickly, and all of a sudden, you don't ever want to operate the business in fear of, oh, what if this runs dry? You just keep moving forward and then kind of deal with it as it comes. But that's always been I'd say the scarier part for me when it comes to us growing our business was the same thing. It's at what time is it right to do any one of those things? Because you have to make sure you have enough leads,
Right.
and then you have enough people selling, and then all right, you've increased those two. All right, do you have the manpower to complete the work now? And that's kind of where we're at again. And it tends to be the same sticking point constantly. Is we keep rolling into the fact of labor, the installers. I mean, the fact that you're able to find a manager that already knows the industry, you trust him, he trained you. Like, talk about the perfect situation. That's awesome. And then he was able to bring guys with him too. So like that, even that is like, dude, double win. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing for sure. Just based on how we were, like where I needed him really. You know, I was at that moment where we're starting another summer and
oh yeah,
I'm gonna be screwed with the amount of work that's coming up, and you know, and you know, things happen, and very happy and grateful for it.
So I know that like for us, we're seasonal. We probably talked about this last time too. How seasonal are you guys? Is it like mostly like services and stuff in the wintertime, or is it, you know, for us, I think like looking at Google Trends, like search volume, the search for the term window tint in general in December is like 50% of what it is in June. Are you guys something similar? Or
so there's different areas of HVAC, right? There's, you know, the service obviously goes up when it gets hotter. Springtime, summer, the demand is higher. But the you know, we do a lot of construction with a lot of other companies, and so we've branched out into doing basically every side of HVAC just to keep everybody busy until we really find an avenue we want to stick in.
Yeah.
You know, so I really haven't said no to much, just to kind of keep everyone busy and keep the cash flow coming in. And but yes, to answer your question, it's definitely seasonal if you just did service.
Yeah.
You know?
So you're doing new construction?
We're doing new construction.
Oh, cool.
We're doing TIs, you know, refrigeration, commercial. So we're kind of just getting out there and getting known, really.
Is there a certain niche that you know that you want to eventually go into? Like for us, like for me, like the question will always be, if I had to start from ground zero, I would go heavy into commercial flat glass. Still would do residential just because of where we live. I mean, there's plenty of there's a market for high end residential in Vegas. There are certain parts of the city that I would push heavy towards, of advertising towards, but try to stay heavy in commercial. And I wouldn't do anything with auto. I wouldn't touch any of that stuff. Is there a certain niche that you're eventually, like, your goal is like, all right, I want to get to this point where we're just doing new installs? Like, all right, I want to do services. Our service is a pain in the ass. Like, is services like to you what doing auto is to me? Like, it pays the bills, it gets the guys work, and I mean, we have a name for ourselves. So
what's more profitable?
Yeah, what's more profitable?
Well, the more profitable is the R&Rs, you know, the change outs that you see a lot of these bigger companies do. They advertise, that's all they do, and the margins are huge.
Yeah.
100, 200%. It's crazy how bad it can be.
Why is that though?
Well, they come in and they're providing a product that is and that someone might sell for, you know, 10, 12 grand, and they decide to sell everything at a, you know, $17,000 price point, which is, you know, 40% more than like I would sell it.
Yeah.
You know,
I had that happen to me. I think I told you about this last time, where one of my units went down in the middle of summer. It's like 100 something out. It's downstairs. And my wife's like, we got to fix this right now.
Yeah.
And one of the first companies that came out gave us a bid for like $30,000 or $40,000 to replace both units. Said there was no way to fix one of them. Home warranty company finally sent somebody out before we actually signed that contract, and had it up and running in 15 minutes.
And that, unfortunately, that's what a lot of these companies do. You know, you're in a middle summer, your house is 110 degrees.
Yeah. You just want the AC on.
You just want it on, like, and then they hit you with the financing. You know, good for them from doing it. You know, if that's your guys' motive and stuff, you make great money. They're making tens of 20 millions of dollars a year, you know, but it's not how I would want to operate. But they're in the middle of the summer, you know, that's just what they're trained to do, you know, and then they get a commission off that. So of course they're like 10% commission off, you know, 40 grand sale. That's just one. And they have 10 of those calls in a day. Like,
and they only have so many techs and they're booked out 2 weeks already. So
but we can
they
still
don't have to give you a discount. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The demand is there that they're like, well, if you don't.
So it's almost purely demand. That is what's driving it up. It's especially being in Vegas. It's 115 now today. Like you're sweating in your house. It's either you pull the trigger on this or you're going to be waiting weeks for the other guy who's going to.
Or like home warranty.
Yeah.
They just get so busy that they can't get anybody out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it took over a month and a half to finally get it fixed.
Right.
That's why we almost just pulled the trigger and did the financing on the $40,000.
Right, and then the financing is like there's no money down, and it is great.
Yeah.
No money down, sign right here. We'll get one in right now.
Yeah.
You know, and the guys are literally just waiting right there. They have it down.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. My wife was like, all right, let's do it. And I'm like, all right, the warranty people are coming in a couple of days. Let's see what they say first.
Right.
Yeah. We got lucky.
So, yeah, good thing. Because that's I know those companies hate me saying that, but it's horrible.
They get away with it.
They get away with it. It's just, it's their business model. And that's what a lot of companies tend to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about the cheddar for a lot of people. And to me, a lot of it's about, I like what I do. I enjoy going and talking to people. And that's why I've turned into more of a service tech, because I like figuring out the problem within the space and getting it fixed without, you know, hey, you need a new unit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
make some money, develop a relationship. You're going to get their work in the future.
Right. Eventually, they're going to replace the unit anyways.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that either. I'm like, these companies go in there and they sell. Well, that customer's done.
Yeah.
You know, if you fix it a few times and they keep calling you back, eventually they're going to say yes to whatever you tell them.
Yeah, because you've now have built that trust in. It's like you've beyond just trying to sell them, you've educated them. You're like, you don't have to replace this. Like we can technically throw a Band-Aid on and get it up and going. If you want to put this off, we'll get this much life out of it. But yeah, like you're saying, like eventually that day is going to come. It's not going to last forever. And then when that day does come, they're calling you. Right. So now you've gotten a couple services out of them, and then they're getting, that's the way I'd want to do it too. Like,
so, and then the my operations manager, his name is Enrique, and he's got that same, people love him. You know what I mean? He's had customers years and years, and he can sell too. You know, he's knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's got integrity.
Yeah.
You know, and some people can see that, you know.
Yeah.
But some people are blind and they just, you know, they kind of get screwed. But that's just how it is, you know.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Sure. Yeah. Unfortunately, too, that hurts your industry.
Yeah.
As soon as someone gets screwed over by one company, then instantly in their mind, every HVAC company is just a bunch of scumbags.
Yep.
And all you're trying to do is take advantage of me and get me to pay for stuff.
Right.
And I guess I kind of had that experience with the company at my last house, my first house. Is my unit had a leak. They told me they could fix it, and it was still underneath warranty, so I had to pay labor still. No, we can fix it. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then all of a sudden the day comes, and they just literally rip the unit out, and they put a new unit in. I'm like, and they even told me too it was going to be more expensive. Like technically, they couldn't replace it because it wasn't broke enough, and that the fixing it was labor wise was going to cost more. And the first price they threw at me, I was like, you got to be kidding. And they brought it down, I think a couple $100. I was like, whatever, just do it. Like I need AC. And then that day came, and let alone beyond one of their techs puking behind the AC unit, which my dog found and ate. And thanks for that. And then all of a sudden I see them rip the unit out and put a new one in. I was like, oh, so it's going to be cheaper then, right? You told me it was cheaper. Well, no, actually. And then it's got this huge run around. I was like, no, dude, whatever. Thank you for replacing the unit. Have a good day. And it's just like, you don't tell me that to begin with. And then when you guys actually follow through with like, oh, you just replaced the unit because you found something else wrong with it. And now all of a sudden it's not cheaper. Oh, well, we already gave you a discount on the previous. No, you gave me a discount on the service that you were providing. And now the service has completely changed. And you told me previously that it was way easier just to take a unit out, hook the new one in, call it a day, and it was going to be cheaper. But, you know, unfortunately, we got to go this route. And then when it happened, they're like, oh, no, that's not exactly what we meant. And it's like, okay, whatever, man. And I haven't used them since. It's just like, that to me, I felt like I was bait and switch. Like you told me to begin with, it would be cheaper to do that. And then thankfully, I got a new unit, which is what I wanted to begin with. But then when I bring up the fact like, oh, wasn't it supposed to be cheaper? Oh, no. It's not what I meant. It's like, the hell did you mean then? Like, it's very unfortunate.
Yeah. And there's not a lot of, you know, the people coming into the trade, they see more of like, oh, I can just make more money to sell them a unit anyway. So then where's the trade part, you know, where's the skill?
Yeah. That's
lost. And I see you guys doing this stuff is pretty cool because you're training the guys. Well, what is your guys' plan here? You just train them and for yourself or for everybody else?
Both. So it originally was sparked off the idea is that we always keep running into the fact that we don't have enough labor. And then when it comes to training in our industry, like there's schools and classes you can go to. There's a lot for auto. There's not that much for flat glass at all. So it was one of those things like I would rather have someone do a bunch of repetitions in here instead of doing, because usually it was just like you go to someone's house, like their house, teaching some stuff, and then it just becomes on the job training, which can be done, but takes a lot longer because there's only so much you can feed them because you're not trying to do it right in front of a customer and, you know, have the customer like look at the fact like, oh, you're training this guy who's now doing the work on my house. Like what's going on here? So now we can do all that in here. And then it was just one of those things like, hey, if we can get local auto tinners, because there's always been interest if someone who's been installing an auto who already kind of knows the ins and outs of tinning, like cleaning a surface, putting the film on, squeegeeing through, getting the water out, like converting that person to a flat glass tinner it would be relatively easy. So now it's like we can start running classes. I can start selling, or we can start selling how to install to like technically the country, because there really is no other academy, flat glass academy in the country. And then because we've won the trophies, we kind of have the backing of like, you know what we're talking about, you know?
Right.
So it's being able to bring people in to train them and then also have our pick of the litter and letting people know like too, like depending on how you do in the class, at the end of it, if you are interested, like we will make job offers, and then even bigger grand scheme, start creating a subcontracting network to where like we do need to bring probably about like, I'd say 2-3 more guys into our flat glass department. I think that's about as big as I want that department, just because, I mean, where we're at flow of work wise. And then when we land big projects, you can't really hire thinking that, oh, I'm going to land a monster project every month, to where you have to have those couple extra installers. But I already know I have a guy down in Arizona. I have 2 guys in Arizona that if I land a commercial job that's a couple thousand square feet, I'm giving them a call. And then we'll line the job up to where we know how many days it is and tell them like, all right, this is how much I'm going to pay you per square foot. They come out, our guys will work on it. They'll work on it. And then we can get those big jobs done quickly without taking out like an entire week of labor from our installers, to where now we have to push all of our other jobs off another week, especially in the summer, just because we get too busy. So creating a much bigger subcontracting network to where it's like, if it's someone we trained and it's like someone's like, all right, like, I love their personality, I like their work ethic, and they pick this up quickly. Like, hey, if we get a big project to you, you can, do you want to be on a list of people we call? And if you want to get a couple thousand square feet, because some people want to keep it small. They just want to do it if they are like a mobile auto tinner, or if they have a small shop out here, they're doing auto and they start selling flat glass here and there. Like their capability of getting on a job that is a couple thousand square feet, they're usually not aiming to go after those projects. Like those are big projects that we're starting to go after. Like we have a big project that we put a bid on that the budget was exceeded of what they were doing. So it didn't happen last year. They're saying it's not going to happen this year, but eventually it's going to happen. When that happens, I'm going to need minimally, if I had to hit their timelines, 30 to 40 installers, which I'm never going to have on staff.
Right.
But I know I already have the network within the industry from the trade shows we went to, the 10 offs and everything. Like the guys I've talked to, I know there's at least 4 or 5 guys that stick out in my head right now that I can call. I know that with each one of them, there'll be about 5 to 6 guys with them, and they all are installers out of caliber where I trust that person to run their crew, to where it's like it'll be a never ending amount of work we'll be on these projects for a couple months. So it was the brainchild of we need to be able to train our guys better, bring people in, train them faster. Instead of it making a 6 month to 12-month turnaround, let's see if we can make this like a 2-week turnaround to actually get you installing standard film. Security film is going to come with comfortability, which to get to the point of getting someone to where they can do all of the trade, which I do think is possible within like a year. Like from doing solar films, being able to do all these different panels, then do security films, and then do the silicone attachments. Like you can get there. There's only so much you can absorb, and then it's a repetition. You got to do it over and over again to kind of figure out the nuances of what you're doing. And then being able to do it here where I can sit there and watch them do it and like, here, do this window. Okay, that looks good. All right, now do this window, but now do it in 15 minutes. Now, all right, now do it in 10 minutes. Start applying pressure and then showing them like how to make money in this industry is you have to be efficient. Everyone say you have to be fast, but you got to be efficient. You have to have high quality. And if you're efficient, the speed will come along with it. And then if you can install that many panes or that much square footage, that's how you get to the point of making 6 figures plus in this industry. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and then basically like bringing guys on, like he was saying, we've already kind of been doing like paid apprenticeships.
Oh, okay.
But like it's been taking us a while to get somebody all the way point to being a commissioned installer. One of the things we've just been talking about and we're developing right now is get them in here way more often, a lot more hands-on, more one-on-one training, or even one-on like 3 if we bring 3 guys in at once. But then we can use this as the testing ground.
Yep.
Like we're going to install every one of these windows as if we're on a job, record the whole thing, time every step of the process, develop our standard of like, okay, you need to be able to tint all the windows in this room in this amount of time to these quality standards to get to the next level of commission. And then do the same thing with security film or whatever, like have tiers that you can make it to where your commission rate goes up if you can pass the quality test in doing it in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
What I see it's 1 through 5. Is that like easiest to hardest?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and then there's technically 6.
That's
that door
6.
right there is actually those little French panes. Okay. Believe it or not, those are actually
single pane.
Well, just the little guys
on the right side.
Those are actually like the toughest windows to do.
Oh, really?
Is the amount of time. So look at the door next to it is one pane. I can tint that door next to it in under 10 minutes, start to finish. The one with all the little panes, that's gonna be
10 minutes per pane?
Almost.
Really?
Yeah. So like that's a total, you can't even price those. They're the same amount of square footage, but that one's going to be significantly more expensive than the other one.
Yeah.
Just because of the amount of labor that has to go into it.
And
getting it clean too. There's typically paint right up against the edge.
So you guys take off all the paint, right? With a razor?
Yeah, you get it as clean. You want to get it to the edge as clean as possible, but like you got to trim, cut out any excess paint, and then you don't want to over clean the edge because then you start
damage the paint on the wood frame that's supposed to
damage
stay.
the wood.
So those are very finicky.
Yeah.
Those take a long time.
And it's also setting it up with the customer depending on which film they pick. On those windows, typically you have to let the customer know like to do these cleanly. Like we're not going to leave a monster gap, but it's going to be bigger than your typical window. Like this plastic, the vinyl window over here, I can get that gap like almost non-seeable and know it's going to be clean. On there, I'm going to purposely tilt my blade a certain way to make my gap just a little bit bigger to avoid touching anything on the side. Yes, the gap will be a little bit bigger over there than it will over there, but the cleanliness is going to be exactly the same.
Yeah, if you don't do that, you'll end up sucking a bunch of dirt in and it looks like trash.
And and if you want a tighter gap, and then it just comes down to when you're talking to the customer, setting the installer up, at least the salesperson got to let them know like, hey, this is how this window is done. And if someone were to be like, well, I don't really want a gap at all, it's like, okay, that can be done too, but that is going to change the price. Because now instead of like, the door to the right would probably take me about an hour to do. Like compared to the door on the left, definitely less than 10 minutes. If I had to do that with a real tight gap, it could be done, but it would probably take me about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like I'd have to pre-cut every pattern and probably have a second set of hands with me too, to where I'm peeling it, they're wetting it for me. Like, so there'd be a significant amount of labor that goes into that window, to which you got to compensate the installer appropriately because you're taking up a bunch more of the time, and you're technically taking labor time away from the company. So it has to make sense also profitability wise for the company. So we'll charge per paint on those windows instead of square footage, to where if like square footage wise, it's going to seem like we're charging an astronomical amount, but it's like that window, that one section of windows is going to take me 6 to 8 times longer than that one door.
So is it pre-cut per? I mean, that's what 10 inches.
We'll cut them close, but not exact, because they're not all going to be exact. So you can't cut them exact. Then the real way to get them super clean, but this is even more time consuming, is take that pattern that's a little big and pre-cut it.
So that's what I said. What I meant by pre-cut is you'll take a pattern that's a little bit bigger than that. I'll clean my window, wipe everything. So I'll clean all the windows down, and then I'll start putting the film on before peeling it. Line up one of my edges exactly how tight I want it, and then I'll cut my other 3 edges before even peeling and sticking it. So I'll cut the entire door, every single window on it, and then I have to go back through, take the tint off, squeegee the window, wipe the edges, make sure the surface is prepped, then peel the tint, and then drop it in there to where it drops straight in. To where it's like if you want to get real tight gaps, that's the only way to do it. In my eyes, you can just peel and stick on those windows. Just the prepping and the way of doing it is don't wet the window, wet the film. And then there is a lot smaller, or there's a lot bigger chance of something getting messed up. So you have to be very precise. As soon as you accidentally lift your film back up, it just sucks the water from the edge and it just pulls all the wood and all the dirt in the window, and you're starting from scratch again.
That's where like peeling it and cutting it, it's laid over the edge. Anytime the film lifts, that lift kind of creates suction with the water that's on there, and it'll pull stuff into the window. So compared to a vinyl window like that, you're not going to have that issue. That edge cleans out perfectly, and even if it does lift a little, nothing's really getting sucked back into it. So those are little nuanced things that's why we kind of did that. Like that's technically the hardest window.
You're missing the number.
Talk to him over there.
I thought there was a 6 over there before we wrapped that wall.
There was before.
Final boxes
there was a 6, but we initially weren't going to wrap that wall. So I think it got taken off. The wall got wrapped, and it just hasn't been put back on.
But yeah, no, it's been in the development stage of like how we technically want to train someone. But yeah, it definitely goes from easiest to hardest. And then as we actually develop the test out system for our installers, because I wanted to come up with a way to actually be able to, if I'm hiring someone, set in front of them, like, you can accomplish this as fast as you technically want. As fast as you're going to be able to pick this up and how much you want to put into it is as fast as you can go through the pay scale. Get to commission to where it's like, all right, to test into commission, you're going to have to tint from 1 to 5, and you got to do it within a certain time frame. Like in my eyes, I'm thinking about 4.5 to 5 hours. You should be able to, it's about 20 panes from 1 to 5. If you are at a point where you're saying that you're ready to be put on commission and you think you're that skilled, you should be able to do that in 5 hours.
So when you say commission, you're saying the guys are going up to a certain, you can only get paid up to this much, and then after you get paid, let's say $30 an hour, and then there's no more than that, then you go to commission?
So our apprentices start out hourly, and like as of right now, we're teaching them all the simple stuff, cleaning windows, how we cut patterns, the stuff you can train someone on really quickly, and then they're making the current installer that much faster, going out on jobs, doing the things that now all of a sudden the installer can just install and then get reps in as much as they can. There might be certain jobs where, hey, I think you can tint that window now. Go try it since you're done prepping. And then the person that's the seasoned installer is going to look at that work, make sure it's good. Like, so they're getting on the job training while making the initial installer faster. But once they test into being a commission installer, they're getting paid by the square foot instead of hourly.
Yeah. And
so that's basically how most installers get paid, is by the square foot.
Yeah. So typically what you do is, or what I've done in the past, what we developed is you come in at $12 an hour to begin with. And then as you start picking up the smaller, easier parts, like prepping a window, getting to a job, setting up the window, setting pad placement, window, how you adjust the window seals, cutting patterns, stuff like that. As you start making yourself more valuable, that goes up, and it can go up to $15 an hour. After you're at $15 an hour, that's when you're at a point where it's like, all right, you need to test out of this, and then you'll get paid $1 a square foot. So like those are that's about a 4x5 opening, if I'm not mistaken, right around that size. So that's 20 square feet. So as soon as they get to commission, that guy's going to pay him $20. Now those 2 windows I can tint in probably about 15 minutes. So it doesn't matter how fast or how slow. I mean, for your pay, it matters how quick you're moving, but you also have to be installing to a standard to where it's like, I don't want to come back to replace this window.
So what happens if there's you have to replace it? Warranty call, is that go back to an hourly, or they're doing it for free?
It's if you test it out, we're pretty lenient to where like everyone has a bad window, but I try to distill into everyone, don't leave the bad window. Just rip it off right then and replace it. Like, I don't want to eat material, but at the same time, I don't want to eat time and material. So if I got to send someone back out to replace the window because you're trying to get one past the customer, that's going to piss me off a lot more than it is like, hey, I had to scrap this piece and I had to cut a new one on the job out of the box.
Yeah, there's no penalty for that.
Like,
but if we got to go back out, typically the person that made the mistake is the one that needs to go fix it. So now it's costing them their time.
And they're not getting repaid for it. Like, I already paid you for it. Like,
if it's a scenario where we got to send someone else, typically they're going to lose that square footage and it's going to go to the person that fixes it.
Yeah. Gotcha. So that's how we've kind of we've handled that. But like when we test them, it's going to be like, say wherever the time limit is, do these windows. It's going to be a pretty set standard where if I walk up to any of your windows and there's anything that would make me say, a customer is going to see this, and when I go out and look at it, like I have to replace it. I can't talk my way. It's not even talk my way out of it. Like it's something that shouldn't have been left on there. Like if your gap is too big, you crease the film. There's too much contamination in the window because there's always going to be a speck or two. Like it is aftermarket install, so there are a degree of things that are absolutely okay, and there's nothing you can do about it because there's no such thing as perfect. But then there's things like you cut a corner out and there's a huge chunk of tint missing in the bottom corner or in the top corner, and you're thinking the customer is not going to see that. Like when I'm looking at your windows, I'm going to see it. And as soon as I see it, you failed. It's an automatic fail. You're still going to be stuck where you are pay-wise, and then you're going to have to wait, which is the only thing I haven't really come up with an exact time. I'm thinking probably either 90 or 120 days. It's like as soon as you say like, hey, I'm ready to test. So say someone comes in, we start training them, and like they're 2 months in and say, yeah, I want to go to commission. Like I'm good to go. Okay, I'm going to let you, these are the standards of what you have to get done, how you have to get it done. We'll cut the patterns and you're going to literally walk in here like it's a house. I'm going to watch how you lay things out, how you address the window seal, making sure you're putting microfibers down, wiping your windows down, like treat it like it's a customer's home. And if at any time one of those windows isn't acceptable, you do something that is egregious to where I said, no, you're not ready. Now you got to wait 90 or 120 days to retest. So it's not so much of like, I'm going to test this week and then I'll test again next week and next week and next week. It's like, no, there is a consequence to you rushing if you're not ready. If like I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be honest with you, like, hey man, I think you need to get some more reps in. You're not quite ready yet. Take the next 2 weeks, get some more reps in here. Come in an hour early. I'll cut you some patterns. We can do like a mock run for you to where you can do each section. Like I'm totally fine with that. But as soon as you say you're ready, and you want to go, I'm putting you straight into the test to where if it's pass fail. I run across anything that's not acceptable and I know I have to send someone out to replace something, you failed. Like you're out. And then you have to wait the 90 or 120 days. And then we have about five different tiers. So you start out $1 a square foot for solar film, and then you'll get $1.25 for safety because it does take you a little longer to install. And then pretty much climbs a quarter in each stage. So up to $1.25, $1.50, and then you max out at $2 and then $2.25 for per square foot. To which if you make it to $2 a square foot, you are at the point where I can send you on any job. And I know for the most part, I'm never going back out to that job. You might scrap a piece or two while you're there just because you know what the quality standard is and what we expect, in which I'd rather you pull a piece of film off and replace it instead of us having to go back out there. But you're going to be efficient enough to where you should be able to do at least 600-700 square feet in a day, to where you're doing 600 square feet at $2 a square foot, you're having yourself $1,200 days. Then it's on us to make sure we're providing the work for them. But to get the $2 a square foot, that means that you are an upper echelon installer. You can get that much work done. Right. So I'm happy and I'm excited to finally actually start putting a standard out there to where it's not like the smell test. Like, well, we think you're good enough. We're gonna, we think you're at the point. We're gonna give you a raise. It's been a year, or it's every year you're gonna get a little bump. It's like, no, it's completely up to you. Like, here's the standards we have. These are the time standards, because even to get to the higher, like $2, I'm going to want the same amount of windows done, but I'm going to want it done like in 3 hours, which I know can be done. Because like we're gonna install ourselves. We're gonna time myself, like how I would expect it to be done, and see how fast I do it. And then we'll have Josh do it, and then we're gonna have our manager do it too.
Well, you haven't done that yet.
No.
We're like literally developing it right now. That's something we're doing like very, very soon.
Yeah.
The other cool thing is now that we got all this video equipment, is we're going to record the whole thing.
Right.
and then like literally edit it down to like, it took Ricky this long to bring everything in. Took him this long to prep the window. It took him this long to do each step. Then when they do their test, do the same thing.
Right,
And
because you're going to set the bar.
And,
Obviously,
and then we can actually critique like exactly where you're bleeding time, or see that there's something you did that there was a flaw in a window, and we can see in the video exactly why. So we don't have to stand here exactly the whole time.
right.
As long as somebody's recording it, we can go back through and look at it while we're still getting other stuff done. So in my mind, the video aspect's huge, especially even like when we do the academy, when it's not just for people we're training, it's gonna be the same thing. Like you have really, really good video of the entire process and everything that was explained, and then your reps at it, and you can go back and look at it, and it's sliced up and edited in a way where you can see every step of the process. I think that's going to be a giant leap forward on how fast someone can get good.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and I can see, I mean, I can take a look at someone's window and see where the mistake is. I can go back and watch where whatever they're doing at that time, and I'll be able to see like, all right, so that's why that happened. Don't do that again.
Especially for the in-house process, I feel like if you look at the industry and all the people we've had on here, or go to any of the events, everybody does it so differently. And yeah, there are a bunch of different ways you could do it, and it could turn out right. But for us, for our business, trying to scale, like once we do those videos of us, we're gonna critique him, myself, and our main installer. Find like, okay, maybe every single thing that he does is faster and turns out better. We're just gonna stick with Ricky's video. But maybe there's something that Armando's doing or I'm doing in one step that's like, oh, that was actually slick and it actually showed to be faster. We can make a training video from that and train them for that test off of that video. They'll have access to it. They can look at it over and over again. These are the ways we want it done. We're going to standardize that here.
So would you post those like on YouTube or like?
Those will probably be more internal, but then for the actual academy, I'm sure once we have the online portion up, might be something we give anybody who becomes a member of that community access to.
It'll be like a
to like help standardize your training process, and
subscription service is another thing I was eyeing at too, because that was, like I said, that was the other part. Like beyond it, it's selfishly built for us so we can train people because we need installers here. But also, I was trying to look at the grand scheme. Like we can sell to jobs across the country. Like we can put bids on buildings that are being built. It doesn't matter where your company's from. You just have to find the work, put the bid in, and then obviously have the subcontractors send out there and have them get the job done. But I was looking for a way to where I don't have to go anywhere, but I can sell what we know, sell our knowledge. So it's either you can come out to us and we can train you, or you can get a subscription online and you have access to our entire video library of this is how we do this window, this window, this window. Say you up the subscription to even higher tier. All right, so now you have access to our entire library and you have access to us, like on like a in-group like chat, to where we will be the moderators, to where someone asks a question, we'll answer the question, but then depending on what tier that people are paying for, like it'll be a group of people that are, say they've gone through the school and they've gone through a couple years of experience. Like, so when someone asks a question, it's everyone kind of talking about their opinion. Like having a Facebook group that doesn't have a bunch of trolls in it, because you have to pay, you're paying a significant amount to be in there. So it's like, the only reason why we're here is to network and talk about certain problems. Like, hey, how would you handle this? I just ran into this window. This is the reading I'm getting off my meter. Like, what do you guys think about this? To where it will always be us giving our opinion. But if someone else has already had that experience in that group, like, and the only way to be in that group is that you've come to our class, or you're paying for a subscription and you going through our same process and our knowledge, to where we can sell to the entire country and stay here. That was one of my biggest things. Like, how do I create another revenue stream without spreading myself thin, and then constantly being able to train nonstop? Like that's the one thing our industry is lacking, is flat glass training. That's why when we even pitched the idea to SolarGuard, one of our main manufacturers we buy from, I got like halfway through the pitch and he's like, I'm in, because they know like we can sell as much film to you guys as we want, but if you guys don't have people to install it, because they have the same issue across all their customers, is that everyone says the same thing. We don't have installers. So if there's going to be a place where we can send people to go get trained, and we trust that company and we trust what they're doing, and we know they're doing it at a high quality, like absolutely. So they backed us and they threw money at us to help us stand all this up. So it's worked out really well. Now we're finally at obviously getting it built was the big project at the end of last year, to where we could have them actually walk through during SEMA. We had one of the head guys at SolarGuard, Steve Shore, he came through and got to see it, and they had some other people come through. So now it's getting the classes going, which we've already had a couple of people reach out for private classes, which we are going to proceed with. And then it's actually getting to the point where we have it set up to where you can have different tiers, where after we start getting the content on there, if you just want content, like say $25-$50 a month, you just have access to content. And then from there, it's you get to interpret it kind of just how we're putting it out. And then if you have questions, you can start even putting packages together like, hey, you can have access to the videos, but you know what? You can have, say, 4 questions, or you can email us for 4 questions, pay like an add-on fee, where you can be able to sell those. So it's just more ways of us being able to sell the knowledge, and then also selfishly get people in here to train them to then offer them jobs.
Right.
So
and build that subcontract network out.
Yeah, because that's how like one of the biggest players in the game, for like annually what their revenue is a company called NGS, National Glazing Systems. They're out of Atlanta, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. I think they did like 60 million last year. And they have project managers, which are the main people that are hired in their company, and they're spread throughout the country. And they just put bids on huge commercial work throughout the entire country, and then they have subcontractors, and that's how they run their business model. And if you're going after that kind of work, you have to have that. Like, no one's going to carry a staff of 40 plus guys at a time. Like, it just, to me.
Where do you find these subs then? Is there like a network that people join that's like, we're flat glass installers?
Well, we're kind of already tapped into it. Like, that's what we're trying to develop, though, is our own, like, hey, inside of this network, everybody can try to use each other and help each other out.
That's another plus
to
to
it,
now,
too. It's just like going to the events and stuff, meeting people.
Like,
we know people all over the country right now. So we already kind of have the network if we need it.
That's solely from going to the manufacturing meetings that we already go to for Solar Guard, for Panorama. It's technically like I guess the elite installers of the elite film of the manufactured solar guard. It's called Panorama. It's one of the main films that we sell. Like, you have to get into that program. They pretty much have to know that you are installing at a certain quality, you hold your company to certain standards. Otherwise, they won't sell you the film. There's only so many dealers in the country that can sell that type of film.
It's all territoried out.
Yeah.
So like, this is our territory.
Yeah. So it's getting to know people through those events, and then also, the tin-offs and everything like that. We just have built up that network just by going and talking to people when we're at those events, instead of, when I was younger, I'd go to those events, I just wanted to install, and then we partied. And like, you just got to know people. That slowly happened, but now it's like my main thing when I go to these events now is I want to go compete, and then I'm talking to other owners and other installers, and then also picking their brain and finding out like who would be like, hey man, would you be interested in hopping on a big project if I ever have one come along? Absolutely. Get their information, because I get to see them compete. I get to see them install. So it's like already a test run of like, all right, I see what your window looks like. You know what you're doing. Like, so I'm not questioning that. Also, when I do have the project, if the timing works out, awesome. So it's just us being in the industry as long as we have has given us the ability to already have that network in place. So creating the academy and having that network create itself, that's another perk to being in that group within the community to talk to everyone is, hey guys, I'm in, say you are like a 2-man shop and you don't want to get any bigger, but you land a job that is a couple thousand square feet. Then it's going to take yourself like a week and a half to do. Now you have the capability to reach out to people that have either gone through our class, you've already talked and networked with them, and like they're in this group because we trust that they're of a standard that we would hire them ourselves. You get to put out there like, hey, I live in this area. I'm in the Phoenix area looking for 3 guys to hop on a job. This is how many panes it is. This is how many square foot it is. Who's interested? You probably could get someone even from the East Coast. Be like, dude, I'll fly out for that. Like, you tell me you have 5,000 square feet, like, and I can install as much as I want. I can work 12 hours straight. Like, I'll come out for 2 days and work 2 12-hour shifts and knock that out and make a couple $1,000s. Like,
right.
Like, so it made too much sense not to try to do something like this. And then as we pitched it to certain people and then got the backing, Tintwiz being our other kind of big sponsor that's helped us back the podcast and also just back our vision of doing this too. It made too much sense not to do it after I got the 2 yeses from those people.
I'm sure it's the same with you. Like, I think all service, the entire service industry right now, everybody's short labor, right?
Yeah.
And like, we're so niche. Like, there's schools you can go to for HVAC, for welding, for
Right.
all different kinds of things, right? And it's like there isn't really anything that exists right now. So that's our biggest lever that we could pull on is can we train people faster and get people in faster? And the more we've talked to like our business mentor, Ryan Pineda, like definitely he's got us more geared towards like at first make it almost exclusively about building your guys up to strengthen this business. And it's really interesting. We got to meet Tommy Mello 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He was in town. So you know who that is? A1 Garage Door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he's built that up out of Arizona in the last like 10 years to be $1 billion garage door company.
Yeah, he's about to do an exit by his projection is by 2026. He's going to do another exit, and it's going to be 1.2 billion.
Something, and he's already had a couple $100 million exit for a portion of the business.
600.
What's cool though is talking to him and listening to him talk, because we actually got to sit in on that podcast. And talk to him a little bit, is how he was looking at it and how he was talking about the industry. Like he's in garage doors and he would go around and find out who are the people that have scaled bigger in all the different services, whether it was HVAC or whatever, and like what were the things that they were doing. And it's kind of similar to us that there was nobody in garage doors that had scaled up really big to like $100 million business that were doing strictly residential. It was pretty much all commercial door companies that were making really big money. The tin industry is similar right now. Like the really big companies in the tin industry are exclusively commercial. Where we're trying to scale up the residential side. And one of the backbones of how he's been able to do it is he created an academy in Phoenix where he's training up 25 techs a month at this point right now, I think. He does, he's graduating, I think he said 25 a month. But he runs them through like an 8-week program there before they get sent to wherever they're going to go, because they're in almost every state now.
Oh, wow.
And
that's like his central, and then he has
other.
Yeah,
he started in the Phoenix area, and now he's got locations across the entire United States.
I think he's just in like 40. Yeah. It's either 43. It's like 43 or 48 different markets he's in right now.
So like as we've been going through this, like our idea of what this is going to be has been shifting based off of like kind of what we're coming against here in the business, other advice we're getting, whatever. Talking to him, listening to him, and then I've gone and listened to like a bunch of his podcasts. I don't know. I think there is some kind of opportunity to, if we do this right and we can get the rate that we can train people up faster. I mean, nobody's cracked the nut of anything national in window tint either. So it's like there's a possibility of it. I mean, especially because the overhead side of it, scaling this, if you're not like, we wouldn't need another location in Vegas, but if say we did want to have one in the Dallas area or Phoenix, you need one really good salesperson and some vehicles and a little warehouse. You don't need a storefront, right? No, so like the overhead of scaling this side of the business is pretty low. So if you have all the processes in place and you know how to do the marketing and you could just turn that on in another city and mirror what you're already doing, like the possibility to scale this business is actually something that I see is actually way more possible than I used to see. Like it was always like, we'll just keep one location. But it's like, I mean, once you have it working and profitable and you can just mirror it into another market, it's possible now, I feel.
Yeah. So it's definitely something that we're the endless amount of possibilities, because the first initial classes will be from auto. We're going to strictly target auto installers that want to learn flat glass, because there are plenty of guys, even when we go to the competitions, that guys that are like top tier auto installers that don't have a flat glass side of the business because they don't know where to start, or it can be, especially now, it can be very intimidating with depending on what type of glass you're working on. Like I saw a post, I think it was like 2 days ago, and it's like I finally actually started engaging more in posts that actually will help people. Like a guy was asking, he took a picture of a bug stamp on a window, and he was like, what kind of ceramic film can I put on this window? And I just told him, like, dude, a bug stamp doesn't tell the whole story. You can't Google what it says on a bug stamp and it's going to tell you what's in the window. You need a glass meter. And like I went through the whole explanation, like this is what you need to get. And depending on where your coatings, if it has a low-E coating on it, it's going to be extremely important to know where it's at and what kind of coating it is. Because if you put the wrong film on that house, you're going to break every single window in that house. So, and like started going back and forth. And like, I think we've already shot a video in here talking about it. So like he asked me about it. And I was like, here, go to this link, go to our YouTube video, watch. It's about a 25-minute video. We go through what the meter is, how you use it, explain the different pieces of the glass and all that. And then a couple of guys posted in there, just use dual reflective films, which is like what's on Brandon's house, what I put on his house, that's a dual reflective film. It's a reflection on the outside, so it reflects majority of the heat. So majority of the time, you're going to be just fine putting that film on a window. But if the coating's on surface 3, which is the inside piece of glass on the outside piece of that glass, you do not want to put anything on the interior of that window. It's going to break because it's going to trap the heat in that single piece of window, and it's going to overload the pane. Or if it's on surface 2, which typically means you're good to go, but if it's a hard coat, low E coatings have definitely changed over the past, like dramatically over the past 20 years, to where if it's a hard coat, you still can't go anything on the inside because it'll trap all the heat in between the panes of the window. It'll overload the window, and either you're going to break the seal or you're going to crack the window. To where like a couple guys were like, "Oh, just do this and you should be just fine." It's like, yes, you should be fine, but still the best thing you can do is invest in a meter. It's going to cost $1,600, but all it's going to take is one job where you thought you were okay installing that film on that house, and it could cost you thousands of dollars in glass. And only if you would have spent $1,600 on a tool, it solves your problem instantly.
And then plus the technical, when you're out actually on a consultation or a sale. For me, having gone on consultations and sales where we weren't using it, to now I use it on every single job, especially if you're bidding against somebody else, and you're the only person that shows up and tests the glass and explains where their coating is, what actually is safe for that window and what isn't. Maybe sometimes the coating's so nice that our higher end, near clear, high heat rejection films aren't going to be the best answer, even though they're our most profitable and most expensive. I'll tell the person, like, look, this window is already doing what this film does. I know that you want it to be as light as possible, but if you want any kind of improvement, we either need to go on the exterior or we do need to go darker, more full reflective. And if you're the only person even giving them that advice, or you even busted out a meter to test the window, like, who's the customer going to trust? So even just having that in the sales process, you're reassuring yourself that you're not going to damage anything and cost yourself a bunch of money. But at the end of the day, you're also closing more sales because you're the only person that's actually showing them, like.
Who does the sell part? It's just you, right?
Well, we've got one other outside salesperson right now too.
We got 2.
So that'll probably, if we increase our installers this year, which we should double the amount of installers we have before the end of the year, we might have to add one more.
No, we're definitely going to have to add another one just for the sole point of how many leads we're having come in. Like even right now, we have double the amount of leads that we had last year at this time. Adjusting all of our social media, our marketing.
And if I'm going to spend more time in here, so yeah, we're going to have to add another salesperson too. But it's like, right now we need more installers immediately. Like right now we could be doing double the amount we're doing in a week if we had double the installers, because we're already starting to, this early in the year being booked out 2 weeks is very uncommon for us.
Yeah.
Come summertime, that's probably going to push to like 4 weeks if we don't fix something immediately, have more installation power.
But no, circling back to what you said earlier about solving the problem, like same thing. When we enter someone's house, I'm not just looking to sell you my highest end film, which we usually can just do because someone could say, I just want heat rejection and I want it to be clear. All right, look, I have this film, it's clear, and these are the ratings on the film. But without that meter, I'm not seeing the whole problem, and I'm not being dishonest with the customer. I mean, you are to a point, because it is going to improve it a little bit, but it's not going to provide what the technical stat sheets are going to be throwing at you.
No, that's based off putting it on clear glass.
Yeah, so instead of like the companies that are going out there, just replace the unit. And you're like, no, we don't got to replace the unit. Like, we can do these things. This will solve your problem. And like, this is going to get you to this point. And eventually, yes, the unit's going to have to be replaced. But it's definitely more of a thing for us too, that like, I'd rather educate my customer and let them know, like, hey, I'd love to sell you this. Like, same thing for you. Like, I'd love to sell you a new unit, but there's no reason to. Like, I can still solve your problem without costing you a bunch of money, but this is how it has to be done.
I want them to actually feel the difference, right? Like, if we put a clear high heat rejection film on a brand new triple silver low E window, you're not going to feel the difference. But if I put a dual reflective film or an exterior reflective film on that same window, and it's next to a window that's not tinted and it's getting direct sunlight, you can feel it like immediately. Like, oh yeah, this is doing something. So that's going to be a satisfied customer. That's going to give us a referral, and You know, it's at the cost of maybe losing a couple jobs here and there because the person only wants clear and they don't want to add anything. And I've just let them know, like, your window is actually already doing what our best film can do.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then I don't want to do anything. Awesome. But now we're probably going to do their car later, or they're going to refer a neighbor, or all of a sudden they realize they want some frost film in the bathroom, and
Scary
you still
film.
get some work out of it.
Yeah.
And you didn't just knowingly just kind of. And the problem is, I think there's a lot of people out there in the industry that still to this point don't even know that they're knowingly. I guess they're not knowingly. They're selling that film, putting it on there, and just.
Well, they do
playing
that
dumb.
without the meter.
Yeah.
there's-
I mean,
Oh,
I don't think
used to
there's
do
anybody
it.
in town using the meter, because I've never come across another bid where the person's like, not like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, the other people didn't do that. So yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people in the industry still aren't using it.
Yeah, because there's a section.
Is it expensive, this meter?
$1,600.
I mean, yeah,
That little thing you carry
Yeah.
around is $1,600.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
but I mean,
Yes.
what it saves you in just one
Right.
job of not breaking windows or landing a job, because I mean, we got a big commercial building last year that 3 other people bid on it. I'm the only one that tested the glass. Somebody had already installed a bunch of windows on the inside in one of the offices that they are like complaining that area was actually the hottest area. Well, it had a Surface 3 hard coat on it, which means you've got 2 panes of glass. This is the outside, Surface 1, Surface 2, Surface 3. The film is on this side. So the film's rejecting all the heat into this low E coating, and it's not going anywhere. It's just radiating back into the room.
Just
They
bouncing
got
back and
lucky it
forth.
didn't break the windows, because that could happen, but it actually made the problem worse. I tested one of the windows that wasn't tinted and realized that was what was going on. Recommended we need to remove that, and this entire job needs to go on the exterior. And because of the look of the building and the look of the glass, we had to go with a non-reflective exterior film. Has 82% heat rejection, one of the most expensive films on the market. My bid was definitely double to triple what the other people's bid was, but they went with us. And as soon as we did it, and they could stand in front of one of the windows that was tinted compared to one of them that wasn't, they like could immediately feel the difference and were ecstatic about it.
Right.
So, you know, if I don't pull that meter out and I just give the same bid everybody else is giving,
No, you got to
probably don't get that job, right?
Yeah.
So like that one job paid for the meter.
Right.
No, because we used to be one of those companies. Well, my dad was selling, like, there are certain types of films that when it comes to the manufacturers, you have a chart that's a film to glass chart, which they'll let you know which films that you have to get pre-approvals for if you want the warranty to carry into the window to where it actually will cover breakage or seal failure or anything like that. So because of how much heat it absorbs instead of reflects. So you have to go through a whole process, send it into the manufacturer. They give you the okay, like, yeah, all right, it's safe to put this film on there. There are like dual reflective films or just reflective films like the silvers. You can pretty much put those on almost anything. There are certain coatings that you shouldn't, like on
Surface 3.
Surface 3,
4.
which is Surface 3 is rare for Vegas because Surface 3 is more for keeping heat inside the house, so colder climates. So if you go up,
But we still have it out here.
yeah,
I come across it.
we do, but it's one of those things where my dad just stayed in the green zone. So those films, all like across the board, the manufacturer approves for you to put that film on that window. So won't necessarily overstress the window, but it's not going to accomplish the goal because you're going to heat that window up so bad that heat just radiates in, and you're not really rejecting heat. Like, it's rejecting heat, but it's keeping it right in that pane to where I'm off the top of my head, I can remember a couple of jobs where the customer said, like, I just feel like the windows is so damn hot. And I didn't know, I wasn't educated enough myself to realize what was happening.
So low E coating is mainly like a radiant barrier that's working for far infrared. So like if it's 115 degrees out and say it's not even getting direct sunlight, that's what that is blocking, is that frequency of heat. Or say you turn the heater on inside, that's what that is blocking, right? Most film is solar control. So it's blocking near infrared, which is direct sunlight, right? So those are the frequencies that it's reflecting away. So when you put a solar reflective film on the inside of a window that then has a radiant barrier on the inside of it, as it's reflecting it, it's holding it in that glass as that like far infrared now, but that glass is blocking that. So it's blocking it from coming back through, and it's pushing it back in rather than allowing it to reflect away.
Yeah.
So
the better the windows have gotten, it definitely has become more of a thing where it's like any person that we do have come through the academy, or like even like the company that reached out to us that wants to do like a private class, like non-starter, first things first, purchase this meter. If you don't, in my eyes, it's already telling me you're not serious about getting into flat glass, because how much money it's going to save you. And also it opens you up to be able to sell the higher end products, to where if there is a certain coating on there where you can get away with putting a dark non-reflective film on the inside, because it's not going to overload your window, you now have that in your tool chest to be like, all right, so we can go dark with a non-reflective. You still have to submit for approval, but as soon as you have that meter, you send the meter readings into the manufacturer. They give you the green light. You're like, good to go. But if you try to get that approved without having that meter, majority of the times they're going to tell you they want the specs of the window. Like, if you can't give me the specs of the window, we're not going to approve this warranty. So that high-end film that you can sell, you technically can't, unless you're doing it at your own risk of thinking that you might have to replace windows. Yeah. Which glass now is, which I would assume that you probably know, material in general has gone up through the damn roof. Glass is almost, I think, almost doubled, almost tripled in the past 6-7 years. It used to be like $250-$300 for a 3x5 window. Now it's upwards of like almost $700.
Wow.
Yeah,
what? Don't do any of the windows that people buy come pre-tinted?
They'll come with those coatings. So
sometimes they'll have like a 50% tint to them, but like it's more rare.
So like those two windows, if I'm not mistaken, have a triple.
Those are triple silver.
Yeah, triple silver low coating. So like those windows already are at the upper echelon of heat rejection.
See how they got like a little bluish greenish look to it, and I'm pretty sure those commercial windows are just clear glass.
That's just clear glass.
So you can tell by the like little bit of color difference.
So like heat rejection
tint, or is that just
that's the low E coating?
That's the low E coating, which is it's a silver coating. So it's pretty much like, I wouldn't say it's like putting a silver film on there, but it technically is. It's already doing the infrared heat rejection that you would want, like for like technically what we put on car windshields.
Yeah, like our high end like infrared blocking film. That window's already doing that.
Yeah, it's already holding out that spectrum.
But it's just a coating on the inside of that surface too.
Yeah, so like there's zero reason to sell them that film, because you'll improve it a little bit, but you're not really doing much for your customer, but just taking their money.
Well, so that kind of, if UV is their big thing and they're just trying to stop stuff from fading, but then even then, so that glass isn't doing much for UV. So if fading was the concern, but then you still don't want to go completely clear, because fading isn't entirely UV. UV's like 65-70% of it.
Less than that. It's about 30, 35. It's about, if you look at a pie chart, you can pretty much cut it into almost thirds. The UV is the bigger piece. I think UV is like 30,
60,
no,
65.
It's like 38.
The other,
it's not.
Okay.
I promise you. I guarantee you it's not.
All right, we're gonna look this up, because I know I've seen the chart, and it's I explain it to people all the time.
It's not that
like
much.
35%.
No, it's like a third of the pie. I promise you. The other part is
what's a pie?
well, no, it's because if you look at it in pie chart, visible light's a chunk of it. Heat rejection's a part of it, and then the UV's a part of it. So if you put a UV film on, a clear film on, like, yes, you're going to improve fading. It's still going to fade. But even if you cover the other two aspects, if you cover the VLT, the visible light transmittancy, and the solar, it's still, those three together, still only about 95% of what causes fading. Like the other 5% are uncontrollables. HVAC system in the house, what the temperature in the house is. Like there are numerous other things that are, it's a very small percentage. So you never can completely stop fading, but you can cover the three sections of it that contribute about 95%. But you have to go down to a 40% film. So where it's like you're going to have to give up a little light, which still 40% is still very light film, to where when we show customers that, they're like, okay, that's fine. Like because majority of the time they have hardwood floors, or they have paintings or something like that, and they want the natural light in there. It's like, I get that, but you have to sacrifice some of it if you want to try to control as much of it as you possibly can.
Right.
And that's the first time I've ever seen that. But
40%. So almost like it was 38%, right? Damn, it's like I know what I'm talking about.
ChatGPT just... I've seen charts before that have said 65.
Well, those charts were by manufacturers that were being untruthful.
Well, according to ChatGPT, we're 40% UV, 25% visible light, 25% heat, and 10% other factors: humidity, pollution, dye stability.
So I've seen that. I've seen people vary that 10% to like a 5%. But yeah, same things: humidity, temperature, all that stuff.
So clear UV protection film, you're mis-selling that. If you're selling it to somebody, tell them it's going to stop fading.
No,
it's going to help. But
you're not mis-selling. You're not providing. You're not educating your customer completely. You're omitting the other parts of the equation that you need to make sure you're telling them. Like you need heat rejection on this window. you need to go at least this dark. If you're not willing to go this dark, like the UV, it's going to help, but you're still going to fade no matter what. So
And,
we've had
and
that
you're
happen in the
talking
past.
about, the blinds or wood flooring or like furniture from IKEA, maybe not that big of a deal. But when you're talking about a $50,000 painting on the wall, there's a little bit more concern there, right?
Yeah, where the sun just hits the corner.
Yeah. So like that matters, right?
Yeah.
So a regular film is probably going to protect your blinds pretty well.
Yeah, it's
Because
going to provide something.
it is blocking 50% of the heat. So that you're doing a lot. But if you really want to stop it, you do need to block out more of the light than you think you do.
Yeah. So what are your goals for or what are you what technically, yeah, what are your goals for this year? What are you trying to, you just stick the same path? You looking to grow to a certain size or like find that niche?
This year, get an office space is the big one. We're still at a home office. So this is year 4 and we're ready for some sort of warehouse space.
The only reason we look at each other is that we have a building behind us that we need to get the roof put on. That's one of our getting the academy going this year and actually classes running.
Yeah, that's totally separate, but we need to make it happen.
Yeah, but totally so beyond our business, we have a piece of land behind us that has lots connected to them, and it's going to end up being like 5 or 6 warehouses that we need to get built out because.
Do you already know how much it's going to cost to do all that?
That's the issue. We've done the numbers based off a hypothetical of like a range of what it would cost, and it's like it's a no-brainer. We should do it right now because what we can rent those out for compared to what we're just renting out the empty lots for right now, it'll pay for itself in 12 to 18 months. So we just need to do it.
Probably like around 200, 250,000.
Yeah, that would be like on the high end, I feel like.
So, but we got to get an architect and an engineer first to see if we can even use the walls.
Oh, you
that
might
we
tear
have.
it down, right?
Yeah.
Then if we have to tear it down, then it could be substantially expensive.
I think
This would be worth it though.
Yeah, it would still be a 3 to 4 year ROI, worst case scenario, I feel like, which is still good.
Yeah.
So we need to do it.
So, but getting an office is the biggest thing for us because we are, with people working at home or doing the, the remote thing. Like my office lady, she is a remote and she does great. She answers the phones, but there's things that I wish I could show her in person, on a Zoom, like how to be more efficient or just getting some of these problems that sometimes it's hard to, explain over the phone. Like I just want to see it, but I can't, and then getting the guys, I feel like the culture sometimes of the company is kind of disconnected just because we don't have a main meeting place.
Yeah.
So like, that's another thing of the guys are great, and then someone gets upset or, it's like kind of changes the how everyone else is acting, kind of. So I hope getting a place to be more organized, to obviously for uses of the shop to build things and store things and, even do something like this in the, kind of train the guys on having little trainers. So seeing that you guys are doing this is pretty, I'm taking notes because there's something that I've, you can train the guys in the field, like you said, but it's just going to take, so much time. And if you can just do a bench test or something, I went to the air conditioning schools and stuff like that. But if you can provide some sort of what I thought, maybe a 8 to 10 week course that you can do, an hour in the morning before work if you want, it's up to the person if they want to learn, but at least train the guys to, understand what they're looking at, like before even getting out there, or, that's kind of why I thought having an office would help to do. And that's what one of the plans was. That's the biggest goal right now. And we're actively looking at and walking spaces. So before summer is the what we're really trying to push for. Obviously do better than how we did last year. numbers wise, of course. But the office is it's kind of like the biggest step for us, is to get that, and then we can really start laying out plans for, pay paths for people, and kind of that helped me get ahead, was understanding where I needed to be to get this amount of money. That was fortunately pretty clear, especially in the union. It helped. You knew you were going to get there if you could do this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So with that's with service, construction, there's so much that you can do in construction, but with what we do, you get to a point where, like, I can't pay you any more than what you're making now. You have to be able to run a job, or deal with the issues of within a job.
Make yourself more valuable.
Right.
Yeah.
And then how do you help them do that? And that's, the idea of this. The funny thing is like, there's a window company we worked with that they have a training facility to train their guys how to install the windows.
Yeah.
I've come across several businesses now that have scaled up that are bigger than we are. And it seems like all of them in the service industry have some type of training facility to help, because that's everybody's constraint.
Well, like you said about the garage guy, that's genius, really. Yeah. You're training the guys to send them back to.
I think it's the only way to scale in any type of service business is you have to have not on job, but also dedicated training and give a path to what's the next level. Where can I make it?
Yeah. Then you can even expand that. You start getting even further in that, beyond it being a couple day class, like a couple weeks, where it's like at the end of this, you start creating a network of companies that trust you, that know, like, hey, you come into this, you pass this, you're going to get a certification. And then because you get that certification, these are the markets that we know. We have companies that are actively looking for installers. And then you can start doing job placement, where you now charge the company for, a fee for placing them somewhere. And then, like, the person's coming in to do your academy to get their accreditation. So now you're getting paid for that too. So you can stack all those layers on top of each other. And it's like, beyond just training you, will actually place you, like, what markets you looking to go to. You want to go to LA, or you want to go to Dallas, like all the major markets. There are companies that are looking for installers.
Right. And then, because these schools that, their turnover is pretty quick, right? To get a certificate for air conditioning is like,
how long does that take?
I think some of them are like 3 months, but they are on to the, next chapter. Not a lot of people are retaining that information until they're actually on the job consistently doing something. So, and plus, building that mindset on what to look for when you're doing some of these jobs.
Yeah.
Right?
And how much can they really train on as far as like older systems that you're not going to see very often?
Right.
Let alone the newer systems that are coming out after they've already done the class.
Right. Even the newer systems. It's just like, and what's actually out there, because the class might have older stuff. I mean, the everything's still the same principle. It's just there's different, types or brands or anything, right?
The coolants changed in the last couple of years.
Coolants are changing, but the process is still the same with refrigeration, with the big air conditioners, with cars and stuff like that. Still have a compressor, you still have a coil, you still have a condenser. It's all the same principle. Just the application's different.
Yeah.
Now there's stuff that we, as a company, or how we look at, like, say, maintenances, what to look for, what especially not only on residential ones, because they're all kind of the same. Now, like on commercial buildings, we're not just there just to maintenance and wash coil and be gone. Like, we're here to actually see if there's something that's gonna go wrong or fail, so that way the guys can find some work for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We get you that you're doing the job, which is fine, but then you're just going to go home, because the maintenances aren't going to last the whole month. Maybe at some point when we have that many accounts, but right now we only have half a month worth of maintenances. If you don't find nothing wrong, then and now I don't want you to just lie, of course. But I want you to find, like, hey, I would recommend replacing this.
Yeah.
I would recommend motor, burner control, something, just so that you have something you can install the next day when
Yeah.
we don't have a maintenance for you.
Oh, and also
know?
added benefit to that too is that now you just saved your customer from having it fail or something go bad, to where if you guys are trained to the point of knowing, like looking at something going, hey, you know what, in our expertise, in our opinion, this needs to be taken care of sooner rather than later. Is this something you want to get on the schedule right now? Because now you've got the provided work, and now you just stopped your customer from having a breakdown or
Yeah,
it stopped working.
I think the biggest one is like refrigeration, I would say, because like they can't have that stuff break.
Oh
Because
yeah,
it's food. We're talking the cooler going down, like we need to replace this now, or middle summer comes. You know what I mean?
that's happened up at the grocery store close to my house, Albertsons. They've had their freezers go down, their refrigerators go down. I think it happened about 2 years ago, like twice in 1 year. And it was when it happened too. As soon as it happens, as soon as it gets below or above a certain degree, they have to throw everything away. And like how much at the time, my father-in-law was a butcher there, and he goes, the amount of meat they had to throw away, they just took a gigantic hit. And it's like I couldn't imagine dealing with that, and especially if it's like it goes down, it's like you just lost all your product.
Right.
Like, yeah, no, thank you.
And then they still got to fix the problem.
Yep. And they still got to
and then they
fix
got to
it.
restock it.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
All right, well, dude, I appreciate you coming in. I was I think after that last car we wrapped for you, that's when I kind of like clicked in my head. I was like, oh, you know what? I want to have you back on, because from when we first talked to now, I started like I was looking through your account and realizing like we've wrapped like 4 more vans for him, and that was a damn quick turnaround to see how much you've grown. It's been,
yeah.
dude, it's awesome. And like I can't wait to see like you adding that office space too, and see what that growth, because I think that's going to spark a big growth, because giving you a central place of technical command to where having all the guys together, improve culture, efficiency, and then run your guys through the things to look for and stuff like that. Like I can't wait to see what that next chapter brings for you.
Yeah, when we talked at least a year ago.
I think it was just a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like that's why I was like, yeah, you want to come sit down again? You're like, yeah. I'm like, hell yeah. Like that's.
I didn't feel like it was that long ago. It's crazy.
No, it was definitely a year. It was either right before summer or maybe April of last year. But yeah, no, things have been very good, and that's our next step, and that's their biggest goal right now. So maybe in a year or two I'll come back and see where I've been, where I've gotten to. You know what I mean?
And then hopefully at that point your lease will be starting to come up. We'll have that building built, and then we'll be able to get you in the building behind us.
Hey, I wanted something on this side of town, but it's looking more like by the airport.
See, that's totally going to open up the capability as soon as all right. So I'll keep you informed whenever we do get that built out, just to.
Yeah, because those places there, I think we're just going to do a 3-year lease just to kind of get in there. Maybe if, I don't know, nothing more than a 5,
Yeah.
Because I want to buy or build or do something.
Dude, man. Smart.
I would like to, is save my money to do my own office, build an office, buy an office, something, or, build it out. Because that's the other thing that I do like is building a house or something like that. It's something I wanted to try. So maybe in the future I'm going to get some more money.
Yeah.
And have more time for it when
No, that's a big thing, time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but long term, yeah. But like us being able to own this is huge,
Yeah.
We're not at the whims of somebody raising our rent or whatever.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That is sweet.
Yeah, no, that was, again, another thing that was a huge contributing factor of like, let's do this. Like, we own our building. Like, we don't got to worry about anything. We don't got to worry about, like, if we built all this out and, like, all of a sudden the lease coming up for a certain point, and then it's like negotiating the new lease. And it's like, we just put all this money into this unit and now we have to move. Like,
right.
That would have definitely changed the way or what I wanted to do for a certainty. So
you guys at this whole building, right?
No, just to this unit.
This unit,
it's all condos.
Next guy's next to us is a different owner. Next guy next to him is a different owner. And then technically a guy in the very end is the owner who owns the majority of the complex. We were about to buy out the guys next to us and buy everything to where we would own this building. Because even the majority owner of the complex, he's already said he'd sell us the end to where we would take over this section. Like he wants us to buy the base behind here too and like split this and have us run the association, which I have no plans of ever wanting to do. Like I don't want to run the association. I'm good. Like no, it's not, no, thank you. But I would say we probably would look forward to buying, yes, the rest of this building, just to know that we control this building and then get that built out in the back and then kind of leave it at that.
But
But
I've walked that back there. That's a good sized place.
yeah. So we started discussions of what we could probably charge for rent and what the return would be. Now I got to find an engineer and an architect, at least to get blueprints made to make sure it can be done. Because as soon as I have blueprints, then I can actually get a price for what it's going to cost us. Because all of our general contractors that we know that we do work for, they've told me the same thing. Like, I need blueprints. I can't give you a price without blueprints. And I was like, okay. So that's the first thing. And they told me about probably looking about $20,000 to get both those things accomplished. Get an architect and an engineer to put something together. So get that ball rolling eventually. But that's probably like a 3-year project, I would say.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see when that comes. But again, like I said, thanks for taking some time out, dude. Stepping in. We appreciate it. And I do look forward to, like, I would say almost we can probably make this one an annual thing about a year from now.
Yeah.
We can sit back down and
Let's do it.
chop it back up again. And
Because I'm going to keep, I hope, growing. I know I am. So I know I'm going to go through and get an office. And so we'll see where I stand in about a year.
all right, man.
So,
Well, we appreciate it.
I'll be reaching out for sure. My AC unit is still bubble gum together. It worked through last summer, so I know I'm gonna have to replace it soon. So
you're off here right up in Henderson here?
yeah, like Greenville Parkway 215.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
All right, guys. So you guys know how this works. Keep following Orland, subscribe, share. Where can they find you again?
Instagram, all in HVAC LV.
So any of your service needs, air conditioning, any refrigerating, this is the man to hit up. He's going to take care of your problems. He's not going to come in there and try to be, I don't know what most people say, a typical salesman, just try to oversell you. He's actually going to solve your problem. So reach out to him. He'll get you taken care of, and keep following along. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good one. Subscribe.